Tell me about your ship, Riker. It's the Enterprise, isn't it?
No, the name of my ship is the Lollipop.
I have no knowledge of that ship.
It's just been commissioned. It's a good ship.
Refresh me, would you, Riker? What's its size, its complement?
Who is here with you?
What's the armament on the Lollipop?
Paul, I will only answer your questions if you answer mine. Why do you want to know so much about my ship?
We're friends, aren't we?
Increase to full power!
Gives me the creeps. I feel like something's watching us.
Savick, you go right on quoting regulations.
Hello, computer.
I knew I would.
You betrayed your uniform!
Target their cargo hold. Time to take out the garbage.
Smooth as an android's bottom, eh, Data?
I beg your pardon, sir. Inspires to be better than I am. Come on, you'll be fine. 5 years in space. God help me.
This is the best day of my life!
A phaser? You didn't use it?
Swords are fun.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Welcome back to another Retrek review, where each week we talk about Star Trek, and this week we're talking about episode 21 of season 1 of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and that episode is entitled The Arsenal of Freedom. It originally aired April 11th, 1988. Was a teleplay by Richard Manning and Hans Belmer, and also a story by Maurice Hurley and Robert Lewin. It was directed by Les Landau. The synopsis for The Arsenal of Freedom is: Geordi LaForge leads the Enterprise D into battle while Captain Picard and an away team are trapped on planet Minos, taking fire from a dangerous automated weapons system. We had some guest stars from the episode. We had Vincent Schiavelli as the peddler.
I knew that guy.
A ton of stuff, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yep.
He's played in Fast Times at Richmond High. He's in Batman Returns.
Yeah, I did. I recognized that guy like immediately.
Yeah. We had Marco Rodriguez as Captain Paul Rice. Another actor who's been in many, many things.
Yeah.
Vito Ruginis as Chief Engineer Logan. Julia Nixon as Ensign
Don't even get me started.
Leanne Sue. And George De La Pena as Lieutenant Solis. So that is our introduction to the episode. But before we move on to comments and subscribers and supporters of the channel, let's ask Caleb what he thought of the episode.
I enjoyed this episode.
Very good.
I thought it was good. It was kind of like a fun, I don't know, back to formula type of a thing. It felt like a Star Trek episode, and I did enjoy it. I was like blown away that the Drake is a real ship.
Oh, yes.
Because I don't know if anybody really knows, but like in our RPG, we like just on a whim came up with the USS Drake.
Yep.
Because of like our love for like Uncharted. And that's kind of been like what we've been playing. And then now like this show is like, hey, we're on a course for the USS Drake. And I was like, what? Come again? So like you obviously knew that was a real ship like when we came up with that. But
yes,
I was just like, man, that's really funny that like that's a thing. And it's nice to see that the Drake continues on in the future, even after we're done playing on it.
Right. The name of the Drake lives on.
Yeah. So that was really cool. So I'm going to give it.
There we go.
I'm going to give it a 3.
It was fast and it was inexpensive, and that's how you make Star Trek.
Yeah, let's give it a 3. I don't think I've given out many 3s.
No, I think there's only been one on the record.
Yeah. I think we'll do it because I think as of right now, this could be in the running for my favorite episode of this season one so far.
Wow, wow, wow.
Wow, wow, wee, wow. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I just make this up every week. I don't really even care.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of these.
Well, very good. I liked it. I like all that. I like seeing a nice, beautiful three there at the bottom.
Doesn't happen much.
It doesn't, and it shouldn't.
That's right.
Well, very good. Yeah. Well, we can move on to shout outs to our subscribers, but right off the top of the list, yow! We give the biggest shout out to our Patreon supporter, Ed Mark Starr. We
Yep.
appreciate him trekking along with us and keeping this ship running at high efficiency.
Yeah, our ship actually has a consistent chief engineer, so
That's right. That's right. And his name is Ed Mark Starr.
yeah, exactly.
We won't change him every week.
Uh,
But we also have some new subscribers to the channel. And the two latest subscribers are John Fick and Daniel Dillingham.
nice.
So we appreciate you both subscribing to the channel. We hope you enjoy the content. And now we can move on to comments. So from our Hide and Q episode,
Oh my God.
the Daystrom review commented, does Wesley's death in this episode absolve him of his death sentence in Justice 2 episodes ago? So when Wesley
No.
gets stabbed in the back from the French guys, yeah, okay. Wesley took over the ship, so mutiny right there on the 2nd episode, right?
Yeah.
And was sentenced to death on the 4th. It
Yeah.
was only a matter of time until he died, so better sooner than later. It's just unfortunate he had to be returned to life.
Wow.
They hate them, apparently. Q in the
Damn it.
first season makes it really tough for longtime fans to explain to new viewers that his first season performances aren't a great reflection of his character.
Yeah, I keep hearing that.
But
'Cause
so
I
does
really
episode.
don't enjoy him.
Yeah, right, exactly. But so does episode 1 Picard and much of the following season. There's just enough in him to make him appealing, but he is very alien to season 5 to 7 Picard.
I'll tell you what, though, the difference between Q is that he's changed drastically in the first season.
Yes.
And I think Picard, he's more rigid in the first episode for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But even like moving forward like to this current episode we're talking about, he is very similar in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So it's not as big of a jump.
Yeah, and I think that their point is that Picard, as the show goes on, is like he changes like a lot, which is true.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like that though, because I think you would naturally as like a captain after you've been serving on board with all these people for so
Yeah.
long.
And I honestly think it's the same with Kirk too. Like Kirk in the show is different than Kirk in the movies.
Oh yeah.
The reference to the original series is accurate because of all of Gene's less favorable traits. He was very loyal to former colleagues in the TV industry, so he did bring back as many people from the production and creative sides as possible, thus the wacky outfits and green sky planets.
Yes.
But he did say, I like this part at the end, he says, and Picard is super lucky he didn't have to fight Riker after getting Gary Mitchelled by Q. That was pretty good.
Wow.
That made me
Yeah,
laugh.
that is good. That is really good.
Okay, then two on our latest Heart of Glory podcast. Captain Elimar says, does it make you gentle? Does it fill your heart with peace? Pretty good one this week. If you like Klingon crap. Just kidding. Just kidding. He says, I did enjoy this one more than Caleb did this week, it seems. But a Roddenberry is probably about right.
I didn't. I enjoyed last week, but I gave it, middle.
Yeah,
I gave it a good middle.
yeah. He's just saying he probably gave it maybe one Akuda then.
You can be wrong. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. If we went through the end of the season and you gave me all these episodes again, they'd
Yeah.
be a completely different rank. So,
Wow. It's not gonna be.
so don't worry about it. So, no, but I did enjoy last week's episode because I do enjoy Klingon crap. But we talked about it. There's a lot of stuff in the episode to me that kept it. It was like, hey, this thing was like, then it'd be like, eh. Then it'd be like, oh, eh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you take the averages,
And it's a 0.
and safe answer is always middle. Just
Fine. As well, we'll see. That's going to be the great thing when we do our big look back. We'll see. We'll see. He says, "I rather enjoyed the Klingon renegades. I thought their gear and demeanor was appropriate, and I too liked them assembling the disruptor, even if it made Tasha look stupid."
yeah. Well, I'm fine with that part specifically, but I did enjoy the disruptor. Yeah, I think it's cool.
It
I
is.
like their costuming. I like their armor. I liked all their
Yeah.
spikes. It's great.
Worf makes it sound like he was like 2 years old when he was adopted, so I get where Caleb is coming from.
Hmm.
Where it's weird he's so into Klingon culture / knows so much about it, which makes logical sense because he is a Klingon, and who else on the show would deal with this stuff? But realistically, he would know as much about Klingons as anyone else in the Federation.
Yeah, he would have had to study the Klingon,
Right,
stuff in school, basically.
right. He says, anyways, who cares? It seems we thought more about it than the writers did, according to trivia.
It's usually the case with the fans, anyway.
Yeah. He says, I don't know if I agree with Will on if Worf killing the renegade was out of line
Ooh.
or not with the Federation. Photon torpedoes are not the most peaceful things after all. That's a fair point.
That is true,
And I
because
agree.
that's definitely a kill. That's usually a kill shot.
Right. And I agree. But I just think that Worf killing the renegade commander, Chorus,
Mhm.
so that he doesn't get taken back and, you know, properly handled in a way that the Federation would approve, which is a humane way and is not a Klingon way, because Worf doesn't agree with that. Being a Starfleet
True.
officer, it's
I
like, and he kills him. It's basically showing that Worf, deep inside, he's more loyal to the Klingon Empire than he is to the Federation, despite them having an alliance.
Hmm. Now you may have explained that just as well last week, but for whatever reason, that's not how my brain took that information.
I see.
Because that makes a lot of sense to me, what you're saying. He specifically gave him a Klingon death because he doesn't agree with the Federation's like humane.
Right.
And again, why?
Right.
In all intents and purposes, he's a human. I mean,
Right. And so that's why I
hmm,
was saying at the end when he says to Picard, "Oh, I was just testing or whatever. I was just joking or whatever what he says." It's like,
it was
and
just
then
a
Picard looks
joke.
at him like, "Yeah." It's like, well, yeah, because you kind of showed that your loyalty is worth the Klingon Empire over the Federation. So,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
That's interesting. That's an interesting point. Yeah. Yeah, I thought you were talking about it as a way of like, is it too extreme for him to just like shoot that guy? And I was like, well, if he's pointing a phaser at the warp core gonna detonate, I think it's within Starfleet
Oh yeah.
law to take that person out, no questions
It's
asked.
like it's one of those teetering things where you kind of get it like, well, yeah, he if he doesn't kill him, he's gonna kill everybody else. Like I get that
Yeah.
part of the argument, but the other thing is it's like he can just stun him. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like when they were shooting the other Klingon, he kept shooting the officer every time he got shot. Like he like he stumbled backwards and then got hit, So it's all right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That very, very much goes like against his believing that Starfleet is wrong.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But then he says, Captain Lemar goes on to say, Will is absolutely right that he killed him because he knew that's the way the renegade Klingon wanted to go. But Picard didn't seem to care either way, so no harm, no foul.
I think that's what makes a good episode of Star Trek, though, is when you have questions like this. Like, was that right or was that wrong? You know,
Right. And it also,
like
like,
when M'Benga kills the Klingon
yes.
guy, like, oh, well,
Did
the
he?
debate is good because that makes like an actual exciting
Yeah.
topic.
And that's kind of what I touched on very briefly in that part too, was like this type of behavior plays into like future Worf, which is good.
Hmm.
It's nice.
It's just like if they just would have changed his backstory, just
I
if they
Yeah,
just would have been like he was 16 when his
right,
parents were killed, he was adopted by the Federation, took him in.
right,
I'm okay. Like 16, I'm good. Everything that it
right,
takes for you to be sunk into your culture, I'm on board. 2 years old, I don't agree with anything. If you have to, because even
right.
that episode, like synopsis on Paramount is like Worf struggles between like
Oh,
choosing Klingon side or human side, and it was like, why? Like, why is he doing that? Well,
yeah,
because he knew about Klingons from the time he was two.
yeah. Well, that's the thing is they
Oh.
say we don't. I don't know if they might in the future, but they don't say what the rite of ascension is. He says
Hmm.
that he he was taken by humans before the rite of ascension.
It's 3.
So maybe he was like maybe that's like a bar mitzvah where he's like
Oh,
not quite at puberty kind of thing. So he's like
oh,
10 or something.
it's probably 10. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Knowing Klingons, it's probably like 5.
Five, yeah. Right. Can he hold a blade?
Then he can survive the night.
Exactly. He finishes with, if you save the Enterprise, you get a free pass after all. Thanks for the review as always, guys. Keep it up. We'll try to, Captain Alimar. We'll try to.
Thanks.
Thanks, buddy. And then lastly, from our friend from the office, he
His
had a,
office or my office?
I think it's my office.
I think it's my office.
It could be my office.
From my office.
Uh, he had a completely different take on this, and I thought
Oh.
this would be fun. He says, should have been called Heart of Snoring. Boring
Oh.
episode. Oh, that's the snoring. That's the deep snoring.
Yeah, that's Klingon snoring. It's like human snoring, but louder.
It's true. Took a third of the episode for anything to really happen, and even then it was boring.
Hostages.
He checked out at that scene. He got up and
Oh,
got a cup of
yeah,
coffee
me
at
too.
that scene.
I'm with him.
He says slow, plotting, stiff acting, and odd dialogue at points. Not great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
goes, what was up with all the mentions of separating the ship?
Oh my God. They just even continuing to this week, they just
Right, right.
the set design guy, he has got just a fascination with the ship separation thing.
He does. But from my office is with me, he says also Worf straight up murdered a dude.
That's the best part of the whole episode.
Says, how about heavy stun? And then he goes
Nah.
on to say, what were the Klingons up to? Why were they fugitives? Did I miss that? And I
They
thought, and
they
I thought
want
about,
to be free
and I agree.
and do bad things, and they're sick of being good Klingons now.
But again, like to his point, like what made them specifically fugitives?
I
Yeah, I
don't
don't know.
know. We'll never know.
I get it. Like this point, they're fugitives because
Mhm.
they used a Talarian ship to blow up another Klingon ship. I get that,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
don't think
that's
the
true.
Klingons knew that, or maybe they did. I don't know.
I
Just
don't know.
funny.
A good point.
He says so many questions. I did like how all the phasers were apparently set to sparks.
Yeah.
When I was doing
But you
that,
can tell what they're set at by the sound effect.
true. When I was doing the edit of the security officer and the Klingon shooting each other, it had this like slow frame, and you can kind of see, even though it's like been remastered, you can kind of see like it was like a little square,
Mm.
like a pyro thing. I can't think what they're called, but like that went off on his gut. And then he ends with, "Oh, and guys, the bridge wouldn't be the same without you."
Well, that may be true.
We agree.
Yeah, we don't disagree.
But we'll never tell you what our loyalty is.
Klingon.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for your comments, for your likes, for your subscriptions, and your support of the channel. Means a lot to us. Helps Caleb and I feel like we're doing more than just talking into webcams and each other. So it's nice.
Yeah. Makes us feel not alone.
So without further ado, let's get into the review. Yeah, so we already touched on it. We already touched on it. Yeah, the Drake. I thought you would like that, so that was fun.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty cool. I like that it's in this time period too, so it kind of feels like
Yeah,
we
maybe it
are
is.
on board the Drake in like Archer's era,
Yeah,
and it goes on to be used after we all die a
that's
horrible
right.
death.
Maybe it was the Drake A or the Drake B. You never know. Because they don't, when they refer to the Enterprise, they don't always say D. So maybe it's the
Mm-mm.
Drake A or Drake B or Drake C.
Very, very rarely do they say.
Yeah. I thought it was actually kind of nice. And maybe you'll agree. I actually kind of liked that Tasha was a security officer for a minute before we went to the intro music, where she was like,
Hmm.
actually, I think we should do this. And Riker was like, really? She's like, yeah, here's my reasoning. And he was like, okay. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
She wasn't
Yeah, it was.
snarky. She wasn't stupid. Like, her rationale made sense.
Yeah, because it was like Riker was saying, like, hey, so we need a security thing. And she
Yeah.
was like, okay, so I recommend like small group
Yeah.
infiltrate first, make sure it's safe, then send in the rest. And he was like, yeah, that makes sense.
So I thought of you. They get down onto the planet.
Kind of spooky.
Yeah. Ooh. I think Riker gets called from the bridge or something. And when he does it, it made me think of you. He smacks his comm badge and he's like, Riker. He doesn't say like Riker normal. He does it like a weird, like
Yeah.
vaudevillian kind of thing.
Uh,
Riker.
It made me laugh. Made me think of you going like when he goes like schematics. I got those schematics.
schematic. Yeah. There's a couple of those that are pretty funny. I get so irritated with like this stuff in movies and shows where it's like, okay, we need to like sneak in here, like do a scouting mission, see what's going on. And then they just like tromps through the jungle and they're like, Riker to the bridge. I don't see any signs of anything around here.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, why don't you shut up? Why don't you shut up and do your security sweeps? Then he runs into his captain, Captain
Yeah.
Rice, and he's like having a whole conversation with him out in the middle of the woods. Like, this is totally normal. I mean, he caught on pretty quick, which was nice.
Kind of, yeah.
But
The thing, I mean, that was, I have to admit, like, that was a creep. That was creepy.
it's great. Yeah, it was good. I did enjoy it.
Because he's just like,
I did like that he caught on pretty quick and he was like testing. You could tell that he was like asking him questions or like saying things that like,
yeah.
okay, like this is not.
He's like, oh, interesting, really. Hmm. He's like, what's
Hmm.
your ship? Mom, my ship's name is the Lollipop.
Yeah,
He's like,
it's a
oh,
cool ship.
it's a good
Lollipop.
ship. Yeah, good ship,
Good.
Lollipop.
He's like, how's your mother? And he's like, processing mother. She is fine. Like, oh, your mother's dead.
What's the crew compliment on the Lollipop?
Would it be easy to board without anyone noticing? Or The bridge is still upstairs, 12th floor.
Now, if you had like shield codes, what would those be?
Hmm.
You're like, that's really strange, Captain Rice. I don't recall you ever really caring about this stuff.
Mhm.
And also, you haven't used my first name at all. What is my first name? It's like, well, I don't think
Enterprise.
that's not pretty enterprise.
Ah,
So, did you like the Ensign Sue? Did you like that they like had another person up there
yeah, I like
talking?
both of them. I liked Ensign Sue and Solus. Yeah, I'll tell you what, not a fan of the chief at
Oh,
all. That guy,
oh
that
God.
guy is horrible.
He really is horrible.
Really, really bad. Yeah,
Like
but
it's cool that Geordi takes command again. That was cool. I like that they gave Geordi the ship again.
oh yeah, he's great.
That was funny.
You're gonna have some idiot from engineering come up too and be like, "I outrank you." It's like, go down and work on the engines. Don't come up here. Like,
I'm
hey,
trying
they're
to
shooting
see.
at us. It's really bad. Why don't you just mosey on down the corridor, come up to the top, so I can tell you to you get back down there and you do your job.
Well, that was like it's a little jumping ahead, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
That the thing that like doesn't make any sense, and it just basically makes the chief engineer Logan like a bad guy, is he's like, you need to leave the away team and get the ship out of orbit so that we don't die up here. And he
Oh,
fights him and
immediately.
fights him and fights him. And then later when Jordy's like, okay, well, we're gonna have to like leave orbit and separate,
Just
he's
leave
like,
them on the
you're
planet.
gonna leave the away team?
You disgust me, Jordy. Thought you were better than this.
I was like,
Like, dude.
he's just a very two-dimensional character. And
Hmm.
I also feel like Gene Roddenberry didn't have anything to do with this because he really didn't like intership conflict, like officers not getting along with each other, because
Yeah.
that stuff's been like done away with. This whole I'm better than you is like gone. So I felt like that didn't fit the Star Trek vibes in general. Like just having this officer just be a jerk
No.
didn't make any sense to me.
It's just to put drama between like Jordy having to make hard decisions. Like
Right.
that's all it is. And it's like you don't really need it. He's already making
Oh.
hard choices.
Right. I think honestly, the thing they probably should have played more into is the fact that like the ensign people in the front or the lieutenants or whatever they were like nervous and like maybe play up to the fact that like he's not giving them the confidence that Captain Picard or Riker would give, so they're making mistakes and stuff. And then that scene with him and Troy makes more sense, has more
The
value.
scene the scene with him and Troy too, I was so confused. I thought she was talking about the chief engineer the whole time.
Oh,
Like I thought
no.
that's what her conversation was that like, oh yeah, did you sense the nervousness? Like he wants to like, he outranks you, but like he's actually really scared to do it. But
Yeah,
like
no.
that's not what they were talking about.
No.
And then
I
like that was a surprise to Jordy that like, oh, because Pike trusted me, I have to tell these people that I trust them. Like,
yeah.
yeah, you got it. You're getting it, Jordy.
I thought it was funny before, going backtracking back. I thought it was funny that Riker gets put in the bubble and Data's like, "Oh, this is going to take some time." And then Picard and Crusher come down and in that short period of time of Picard and Crusher coming down to the planet, they have all this like explanation, like backstory with the hovering bot. He's like, "Oh, this is what it's doing. It does this thing, it does this thing, it does this thing." He says like it gets stronger with each time we destroy it. It's going to captured Riker so that it can make later investigations to use against. And I was like, that's a lot of surmising in a short period of time based off of what? Like tricorder
Yeah.
scans? Like, where is he
Yeah.
getting this information?
Yeah, they figured that out pretty quickly. Also, like Riker must be conscious the whole time to like when he gets unstunned, they're like, "Hey, we have to go find the captain." He it never once was like, "The captain's here?"
Yeah, he must have been still awake. Yeah.
He knew what was going on.
I thought it was really funny when he says to them, like, this is gonna take a minute to free Riker. He just shoots like right at Riker. And I was like, maybe don't just immediately shoot right at his gut. Like there was a lot of empty free space you could have shot at. Maybe his foot, like I don't know, just right in the middle of
Yeah.
his chest was or like in his stomach.
It's just funny too. Like, couldn't he just have used the science like scanner to like scan the thing to see what frequency it was at, and then set the phaser at the frequency? And
You would think so.
it was just kind of
Unless it was
weird.
like blocking the tricorder, so then he was using the phaser to get what frequency. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. This is kind of what happened to me in the RPG not that long ago. Where it was like, Data's working on something,
Oh
and
yeah.
then Tasha's like, "I can't do it alone. I need you to come over here and help me shoot this thing."
Oh.
It's like, well, you shoot the thing. I'm working on getting us a third person. Like that's more important. You're the
I
security officer. You can manage the one robot, you know?
well, that's the thing I liked about that was that I like that they wrote that the bots were like they would anticipate and
I did like
that
that
they
they improved, yeah.
yeah,
We never got to see what the fourth one was capable of, though.
never.
That one had two shields.
Yep.
That one moved here, and then had a shield.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, now we need four
Well,
phasers.
well, I think we know what the fourth one had was it had a better targeting system.
The thing comes out, and it just has a full, like, minigun on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Like, man, just start with that. Just start with
Yeah.
that next.
Yeah.
I also like how when you see it on the screen, it's just like nom, 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 nom. But then like when you see it on the actual like screen display, like in
Oh
the
yeah.
lab, it's like the triangle is like all over the place. And you're like, that's not how that thing moves.
It's not been doing that at all.
No.
Yeah.
Because it shows it like right next to their like circles on the map. It's like, and then it shows like a close like a pan back frame of them like walking through the jungle, and it's like it's nowhere around there.
Nowhere to be seen, yeah. Well, it's cloaked. Remember, it's cloaked.
That's true, yeah. My God.
I thought it was pretty neat when they first fall into the hole that Picard was a pretty competent field medic. I enjoyed that they didn't just make him be like, "Oh, what do I do?" Like he immediately took care of her.
You gotta wake up. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I like them too being down there. The fact that they survived the fall is ridiculous.
It is a pretty gnarly fall, so yeah,
Yeah, I mean they make that reference,
yeah.
Yar says, I can't believe they survived the fall. You're like, yeah, I know.
I think Picard landed on her, broke all of her body, and
I'm sure that's what happened. He broke
then
her
he was
arm and
like,
her leg.
"Whoa, wow, that was
She's
close,
like,
Doctor."
oh, I'm bleeding out. And he's like, well, I fixed your arm. And she's like, yeah, my leg is gone.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, I know what's wrong with your leg. It's got all this sand in it.
yeah. Oh, it's got sand's coming out of it. Oh, weird. That's
Oh
weird.
no, that's weird. He's
Yeah.
like scoops it, it just falls. He's like, your legs. Yeah,
And she's like,
I like
"Yeah,
that.
Captain, that's that. Those are my."
Captain, you're an idiot. Well, this is why my husband's dead. I like the root thing. I liked how
Yes,
that was
yes,
cool.
yes, yes. We will get to that.
She's like, eat it. He's like, oh, it's disgusting. She's like, ha, gotcha.
Yeah. Yes.
Can't believe you did it.
But before we get to there, this is the halfway point. So go down to the comment section and write anticipation. There's a shot where the bot thing comes back. I think, yeah, it's after they free Riker, and it's the three of them up top, and they're like, okay, it's like, and Data reaches over and he grabs Tasha and just like
Oh, he
flings.
launches her. Yeah, he launches her.
Oh, it was so funny. She was totally fine, but it was just so hilarious to just be like, "Nope, you're over on this."
Yeah, it was like, wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty drastic. Yeah, he grabs her and like throws her. And then Riker takes like 40 minutes to jump over the log because his back hurts.
yeah. I'm not gonna say it's the best I've ever seen, but I did really enjoy Gates McFadden's acting as like an injured person. I felt like she was legitimately injured. She didn't feel like she just was laying there and like, no, I can't get up, I'm sick or whatever.
No,
I
yeah,
like
no,
I
I
like how
thought,
she performed. I like how you're saying like, she's like, oh, I'm just gonna go to sleep, and he's like, no, don't you dare go to sleep on me. But this really funny part
yeah.
happens where he's like, well, can't be bothered to try and keep you warm, so you figure out how to keep yourself awake. I'll see you
Well,
later.
he kind of gives up on everything he was working on too, doesn't he?
He
He's
does. He really
he finds the root. She says to put that in there to stop the bleeding. He doesn't. He starts mashing it up. Then she
Yeah.
says that she's going into shock. He has to elevate her legs, and then he doesn't have a blanket, and then he just gets up and looks for a way out. Like he doesn't
You're
do any of
right.
the things he was supposed to be
No.
doing. It was like, well, you can look for a way out after you stop the bleeding. I mean, that's probably more important to do.
Yep. Yeah, it was really funny.
And then was it just me, or did you think that like the robots again were like portraying her when he was like looking through the abandoned lab, he's like talking to her and she's off in the distance and she's like, Picard, if you find an exit, just go.
Oh.
And I was just like, what? It was very like I was like, that's weird. Like I don't think he's talking to her. I think he's talking to something else.
Hmm.
She said a couple of those lines like really weird.
Well, I think we might tackle that a little bit in trivia.
Mm. Because they're dubbed over, I'm sure.
Maybe dubbed, but I think there were other things intended.
Oh. Yeah, it just felt weird. It felt like he was talking to a robot.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like, because that's the thing, it like shows it like it can portray people and then like never uses that again. And
Never
I
again.
was expecting this was like Picard was gonna be
Yeah.
experiencing that.
You definitely wouldn't have it show back up as like Captain Picard
No.
after they lost track of him and the doctor and be like, yeah, we're all set.
No, I mean it's scanned and encapsulated Riker, so you wouldn't use him for anything.
No, that's because it's too busy going.
It's all part of the demonstration. Are you
Yeah,
not satisfied with the demonstration?
I mean, obviously it's remastered because I think in the original episode it's just a flat image. The lights are just like blinking, and that thing isn't even moving on the screen.
Yeah.
I think to make it look more interesting and probably just be more pizzazzy, they're like, let's make the dots of the people move on the screen and let's make the bot thing move on the screen so it looks like an actual tracking display rather than just like there's three blinking lights on this panel.
Yeah, I get that.
I thought the when Jordy warps away from Minos, that there's like two shots where he turns and he goes like shoom when he flies away, and then when they show the ship coming at the screen. I was like, these shots look like they're taken from the intro. This
Yeah,
was,
they definitely did.
which also there was a funny
Yeah.
part in that scene sequence too, where Jordy goes, engage. He says it like really angry.
Engage.
Says it like he's really mad.
Yeah. He calls the chief engineer on deck because it's like in a moment where you think he's gonna be like, all right, you have control. He calls him up there just to tell him like, hey, we're gonna separate. You're gonna stay here. I don't care what you do. Like, oh, okay. And this is the thing they've been talking about every episode since we saw it the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
Them separating.
Which are just borrowed from
Yeah.
Encounter at Farpoint.
They're like, hey, so we paid for this like
Yeah.
mini to like work like this. So we're gonna use it. We're gonna separate. You know what the last thing that these aliens are gonna expect is the bottom half of a ship coming back. You're gonna be so stunned. You're gonna be so stunned. We're gonna swoop right in.
This is like slightly just off tangent. I don't know, but there is a series of standalone books and like connecting books that I've always wanted to read
Yeah.
because they just are like they seem really interesting. They seem like the stories are very fun and they're Star Trek books. So I've always wanted to get deeper into Star Trek books that would interest me. So in the book that I'm reading, which is Death
Mm.
in Winter.
Oh,
Death in Winter.
we haven't had winter in 300 years.
So in this book, there is a sequence where there's a sequence where Beverly is on a planet and she's treating people with roots and stuff that she learned from her grandmother.
Hmm.
And it talks about the event that she brings up in this episode.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
I
say
was and I remember when they bring it up, I was like, well, wait a minute. Like obviously it's an expanded upon thing here because
Mhm.
these are approved by Paramount or CBS or
Mhm.
whatever, but they're obviously not canon.
Yeah,
So I know that it's just a person using this episode to give her a backstory, but I didn't realize it was from this episode. I thought it was from an episode down the line.
that's funny.
So it was really funny to have like the root thing and her grandmother and like because Picard specifically says a line where it's like, "Oh, there must be a lot about your early life that I don't know about." And she's like, "Oh yeah, you don't know the half of it." And I was like, "Oh, that kind of like is an actual nice open door to the book. Like it kind of makes the book have more gravity to it." So
Mhm.
it was nice. We kind of touched on it briefly, but I did think that the angle of Picard and Beverly looking up and Tasha, Data, and Riker looking down. That was a cool camera
Mhm.
angles. I enjoyed seeing like the whole because up until that point you didn't really know what they fell into, you know. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and why she was covered in sand.
Yes, which leads to
Yeah,
Data dropping in, which was also very cool.
that's pretty good. Yeah, yeah. When they show them looking up, it's pretty sweet that like that was like a legitimate like ceiling that they were
Yeah.
like filming up at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's time for trivia.
Oh, not again. All right, now you're overacting.
So Robert Lewin had originally meant for the Arsenal of Freedom to develop the implied romantic relationship between Picard and Crusher. Roddenberry, however, nixed the idea, and Lewin cited that Roddenberry's lack of interest in character development as his reason for leaving the show. Other sources have suggested that Lewin's departure may also have been stimulated by friction with Maurice Hurley, who adapted Lewin's story and wrote the episode's teleplay. Basically, they wanted this to be like a romance story where like Picard and Crusher kind of like reveal their feelings for each other.
Yeah, it's a good time to do it.
And it says originally Crusher was going to reveal her true feelings to the gravely wounded Picard, but matters were switched so that Crusher was the injured party.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I think that's a better.
It's pretty stereotypical for the like Picard to be hurt and the doctor actually taking care of her.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
It's always nice to see the captain being capable of doing other roles of
Exactly.
Starfleet than
Exactly.
just
Yes.
being at the captain. And also, speaking of that, real quickly, it's really funny to see that like Geordi gives the command to separate the ship, but I thought Riker was the only one that knew how to separate the ship so well, you know?
Well, Riker really knows how to put it back together.
Well, but he didn't though.
But
Well, maybe
they
he
didn't
did.
show it getting put back together, so
Yeah, it's just funny.
It is funny. They go on to say the change worked, but the failure of the scene to make its intended point was frustrating not only to Lewin, but to director Les Landau and to most viewers. The scene was further marred by a fact not readily discernible to viewers watching at home. It seems that the sand in the cavern was infested with fleas, which made the shoot an utterly miserable experience for
Oh,
Patrick
like
Stewart and Gates McFadden
like in real life.
in real
Okay.
life,
Wow.
who
That's
were
fun.
under constant attack by minute little bloodthirsty creatures.
Oh my God. That sucks.
It does.
That really sucks. Well,
In January 1988, production was shut down for a few days because the script of this episode wasn't available yet. This was the second of two occasions in season one when production was stopped for a few days due to the unavailability of a script, the other one being Angel 1.
that's crazy.
And then we have a point of view from the director. Director Les Landau had been an assistant director on staff and became the first member of the production team to direct an episode.
Wow.
And he remembered the episode was in creative turmoil and going through a massive last-minute rewrite. In 5 years, that was the only time the company had to shut down because there was no shooting script to be shot. I was familiar with the sets, cast, and crew, so although the script was late in appearing, I had all the knowledge and background to go ahead and do my job. To this day, Arsenal still stands out as one of the better shows, certainly one of the shows with the most production value of any we've ever done. Fortunately, all the elements fell together on that first day. I had the total support of the cast, crew, and company to go ahead and do the best job possible. The cast was, and always has been, totally supportive of working with and for me, and I can't say enough about their cooperation.
That's cool. After hearing all that, I'm surprised this episode turned out so well and that I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like they had to do a lot of last minute things.
Yeah, and that usually isn't good.
No. So I'll tell you this. So the miniature of the Echo Papa 607 was built by visual effects supervisor Dan Curry using an old eggs pantyhose container and a discarded shampoo bottle.
I can see it. Now that you say it, I totally see it. Oh my gosh.
And that's Dan Curry's son holding it.
That's funny. And then he just spray painted it gold, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Pretty good, right?
Why did they put them on sticks and just kind of fly them around?
Yeah, they must have. Yeah.
Rings in the air.
Probably something like sticks or posts, yeah. And then the prop for the big surface cannon that they pull back all the brush on that had been
Oh
used to
yeah.
melt titanium, speculated by Riker for being a demonstration model for a potential buyer, was a prop rented from the place Modern Props.
Mm.
And it was later seen again in an Enterprise episode, Demons, as a 22nd century mining laser used on Luna.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. I like that. Yeah, it was a pretty cool gun. I should have figured out how to use it for the robots.
Yeah. So we come back from trivia, and don't get me wrong, it's fine, but I thought it was a little silly that Picard and specifically Data didn't think to just turn off the machine.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
Just doesn't make sense for Data to not know that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things too, where it's like Picard took way too long in the beginning to understand that he was talking to a pre-recorded message.
Oh yeah.
And then at this part, he took too long to realize that it's a sales
Yeah, like a salesman,
tactic thing, you know?
Yeah. He's like, why would you want it to turn off?
Yeah, I don't. It was just, yeah, it was a little that's the one part of the episode, honestly.
Yeah. And the other part to me too was as much as cool as it is to have like the Enterprise skim the atmosphere and like burn and the little bot catches on fire and they can see it and they shoot it. And it's like, hooray, we did it. Like the space team figured it out and like saved everybody. I was like, why didn't the space bot thing disappear too, like the one on the Minos did?
Yeah, I know that's pretty stupid. It's
I
like it
feel
was a
like,
planetary like defense thing. But why are you shooting off like potential customers?
yeah, I think what they just didn't think about it. I think they needed to show them blowing up that bot before Picard turns it off.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
Yeah, and then the last thing that made me laugh, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, was they just kind of leave, and I was like, so what happened to the Drake?
It's not there.
It's like, did
It's
it
gone.
get destroyed? Did it not get destroyed?
But it had to have been there, right? Because that's
Right,
how
because of
they
Captain Rice, right?
do to use the rice. Yeah. I
Like,
don't know.
yeah, you get the feeling that the Drake they went down there, did the exact same thing the Enterprise did. They didn't figure it out in time. And I get it, but it's just like they don't really touch on that specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, they just kind of forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was generally our review of Arsenal of Freedom. Feel like it was a pretty straightforward episode of them trying to puzzle things out and not get killed.
Yeah. And really, honestly, only one thing we didn't really like,
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah.
and that was they portrayed Picard and Data to be so stupid.
Stupid. Yeah. And also,
Stupid
Chief Engineer
idiots.
Logan was terrible.
Oh, he's terrible.
But that might give room for the thing that everyone has been waiting for.
Caleb? Caleb, Caleb, Caleb.
So, Caleb, who gets the Erica Ortegas Award for being the most unlikable?
That's definitely the engineer chief.
Absolutely.
First time seeing him, hopefully the last time seeing him.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't come back.
I don't get it, man. I just don't get it.
I know. It's pretty lame. Well, who gets the Elizabeth Cutler Award for being the most forgettable?
That actually is going to be the transport guy.
Okay. The guy who's like
You
standing there
see,
and he pushes the tubes.
you see his arm move when they say to energize.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's funny.
That guy used to have a name and a department.
Not anymore.
Nope.
Demoted. Yeah. Well, next is the Mugatu Award for the best alien of the episode.
I don't know. Let's go with Worf.
Yeah, perfect. Nothing like a projection of an alien that looks just like a human.
Don't talk to me.
Okay.
Oh, he's so disgusting and alien. Look at him. Look at all his ears over there.
And his long hair.
Oh, gosh, look at his nostrils.
Yeah. Well,
There's
Worf's a good
two
choice
arms.
because Worf is
There's
cool.
2 legs. Disgusting. Absolutely sickens me.
I like Worf. Next is the Trip Tucker Award for being the MVP of the episode.
It's got to be Data, probably. He figures out the Dome of Silence.
Yep.
He jumps 17.5 meters.
Yep. Yep.
Or was it 11? It was
Like
11.5.
11 point something. Yeah. He whips Tasha out of the way of laser fire.
Yeah, he throws Tasha.
He
You could get it just for that, really.
he keeps Picard informed about the thing at the end, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
And then he knows how to shut the computer off.
Yeah. You might be able to argue too that like Geordi and Data kind of maybe split it because Geordi's doing his own thing on the ship and Data's doing his own thing on the planet. So yeah,
Yeah, but the Planet crew is the one that actually ended up shutting off the program.
that's the way we like it. So that's why we're moving
Yeah.
on to the Spock Award for the best line of the episode.
I like when Picard yells at Deanna. He doesn't really yell at Deanna, but she's like, all right, well, I'm going down to the planet. And she's like, Captain, I have to like
Oh,
advise you that like this is not great. And he's like, hey, thanks. I'll take your advisory under caution, thanks. And he just like gets in the lift
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
leaves.
Yes, that's good. That's very good. Next is the Shran Award for the best action sequence.
I'm not giving it to the ship, this separating.
Oh, okay.
I refuse.
No, there's way more other stuff that happens.
Definitely when Data throws Tasha over that log, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like when the three of them shoot the robot is pretty good too. I get kind of annoyed by like phasers in the show, honestly.
Oh,
I get like they're not guns, right?
yeah.
But the whole like, oh, there it is over there. And then they push the button.
Hmm.
And then they bring their arm back down. Like, oh. And it's like, just keep it pointed. You can point and shoot. It's also a laser. You can turn it on and sweep it. But it's like they have
Nope.
to like really dramatically like and then engage.
Yes.
Like they're holding this stick. And it's like it's just a laser beam. I mean,
I have to.
I don't
I
know. There's this movement. There's this movement. It's very unnatural to like raise your arm up and then like figure out where you're aiming, but you're also not aiming because you're not like here.
right,
You're here. You're doing this.
right.
You're like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, wide let, and it's never like, oh, I missed. Oh, I missed. Like it's never this motion. It's
Right.
like immediately like locking on with human ability and then being like, yeah. And I don't love it if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and
But I understand that's how phasers work.
I think for you, I think one is I'm curious to see if that continues as the show goes on because I don't remember it being so stiff as time goes on.
It just seemed old fashioned. It
Secondly,
seems like 60s, 70s, 80s.
yeah, I think secondly too is it takes a lot of production for them to go through and like edit that in. So like you don't want them to make multiple like CGI things that they have to like.
Yeah. The day of like you can like click on a thing and
Right.
like that's your point of reference and it follows that point of reference.
Right. Right. It hadn't happened yet.
This is like frame by frame.
Which is why
So they're like
always like in the
instructed to like point and keep your arms still so we can
exactly. Exactly.
make
And I think
one
it's the same
line
like
and
when you
keep
look
it.
at TOS, like they have it and they go like and then it's like a freeze frame and then like the blast comes out of the thing and then or they do really
Yeah.
close ups of like the phaser in their hand.
I
Yeah.
can accept it in TOS more though. I think that's my point.
Okay.
This is like a later show,
Yeah.
but sometimes the stuff still suffers from the same like 60s production.
Yes. I
And it's
agree.
like, okay, it helps it feel the same, but also like it's I don't know.
I think also the big hardship is like for us nowadays in our world, like, well, yeah, you would give Star Trek as much money as you could because you want the show to do well and it's going to make a lot of money. But back
Mm,
then,
like nothing. They're using MS
well,
Paint to like draw the lines.
that, but like, the show was canceled. And the only reason it came back was because of the 80s big return to like bring back old shows and like sequels. Like Ed Starr kind of told us, like they were kind of like drudging the barrel to bring things
Hmm.
back to the surface to be like, what else can we just bring back like they do nowadays? And on top of it, they weren't bringing Kirk and Spock and McCoy, who were super famous in the movies right now. Like they were doing very well in the movies, and
Yeah.
they weren't using those people. So I don't think because the show was syndicated, they didn't have like a actual like network overseeing them. They just weren't as popular as you would think that they would be. So they didn't have a lot of like a huge budget.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Get that too.
But I think what you'll see is like all of a sudden we'll hit like season 3, season 4, and it's like, oh, like clearly the show is doing very well now, and now like graphics go up.
Yeah. I think I'm spoiled too by like Enterprise was very much like
Yes.
2000s, and they just used them like pistols,
Yes.
It was very much like blam blam.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because
so
CGI at that time was like
going
pretty.
backwards is hard.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like the production is better because like you said, like they don't like freeze frame it.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
I think they
Well,
should have though. If they did it, at least it would match.
I do
Like,
agree.
I see what they're doing. They're copying the original.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
Yeah. Well, this is a great time to ask the question for the next trophy, the NX award for some sweet ship stuff.
I'm gonna give it to the science tricorder.
Ooh. Yeah, there is a thing. I don't know if Brett
There's
Spiner does it or if the
there's a
thing actually
specific
does it.
shot,
Yeah.
right, where he's holding it and he like engages it and it goes boop,
It
boop,
goes,
boop, 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 boop.
yes. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
And I was like, wow, is that automated or is he like legitimately like using his thumb to like open it slowly?
Move it. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It was pretty good. It was the first time I
It was
really
pretty good.
noticed it though.
I took big note of it too. Yeah. I was like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
it
And
could have
it's
been
not the
spring
ship.
loaded where it was like slowly releasing. It could be.
Hmm.
I just don't know.
Yeah, they could have put a little motor in it for like a hero prop. It had like an actual
Yeah.
motor in it. Yeah, because I'm not giving it to the ship disconnecting from itself. So,
Okay. Whatever.
nobody cares.
True. But maybe
this is your favorite Star Trek, and you don't even care. So
no. It's like cool a couple times and then that's it.
it just doesn't serve any purpose other than getting like the families away from.
Yeah. Well, next is the Porthos Award for the cheesiest thing of the episode.
I think that's going to be that scene where they like have to like buy the weapons to get it to like shut the program off.
Yeah. And she's just like, turn it off. And then he's like, yes, I would like to turn it off. And he's like, does that mean I have a sale? Yes. I can agree.
I'll take 10.
Yeah. Finally, what gets the Enterprise Award for the best scene of the episode?
I like when Picard lets Geordi stay in command of the bottom half of the ship. He's like, no, I gave you command of the full ship, but I will not sit in the seat until this thing is connected back to the saucer.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh. Engage.
He does remember like after he does the angry one, he does it here
Yeah.
at the end. He goes, engage. He's like all happy. He does. Yeah.
I just want the ship to like blast off into like warp 5 and be like, the reading rainbow.
Reading rainbow. Well, that was our review of the Arsenal of Freedom. But now it's your turn to let us know what you thought of the episode. So go down to the comment section and tell us, did you like it? Did you love it? Did you want more of it? Or was this almost an Arsenal of Freedom from season 1 for you? Let us know down below.
Next time on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Next week's episode will be episode 22 of Star Trek The Next Generation, and that episode is entitled Symbiosis. So we have that to look forward to. But as always, if you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. Share it with all your friends and family and Trek enthusiasts. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And ring that bell so you can watch the episode as soon as it comes out, which is typically Sundays at 2:15 Eastern Standard Time. And after this video ends, if you don't want to watch more of the Retrek review, you can go over to Caleb's channel. Caleb's channel is a fun prop channel where he does prop tutorials of various things from pop culture, also Star Trek. We do have the TOS Star Trek movies over there, 1 through 6. But we also have things over there like Mission Impossible, The Sonics, Jurassic Park, things of that nature. So you can always go over there to watch us continue to talk about things. But is there anything,
we just
Caleb?
had Mission Impossible 3 just came out.
There you go.
Go watch it. It's good.
Go
it's not too.
So that's out on your channel, but I also think the same day this comes out, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, we finished up the Vegeta saga. So
we certainly did.
So go see if that's there.
So go over there to Caleb's channel, find a video, like it, leave a comment, subscribe, leave a suggestion. You decide.
Yeah, do all the YouTube stuff.
Yeah, do all the fun, cool YouTube stuff on his channel, because we thank you for doing it all over here on our channel. So we appreciate everything that you guys have been doing. Really been popping off with the comments and the support. It's been really fun. It's keeping Caleb and I really happy and excited to sit down and do this. But yeah, it's kind of weirdly, I probably speaking a little bit for Caleb, but it kind of weirdly feels like the thing that we kind of wanted, which was like a YouTube community kind of thing. Feels like the thing you see all your rando people that we watch on YouTube, like we're kind of getting a taste of that. So it's nice.
Yeah, it's definitely weird when like the Captain Alamar like every week is like, I agree with Caleb. And I'm like, I don't even know what I said. I don't remember this episode.
Yeah. It is funny to be the fun YouTube guys that you're watching.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like we understand because we're also on YouTube doing stuff, but we understand that there's like a lots of content.
Yes.
So we appreciate anybody who cares enough to see what we think about something.
Yeah.
And we just have fun here. I mean, it's not like there's a lot of channels. I think we talked about this even when we talked about Mission Impossible too. There's a lot of channels that like you can get engagement by being like mad about stuff, like crapping on stuff. Like it's really easy.
Right.
To do that. It's really easy to but those aren't the type of like people that we want to like engage with either. Like we just try to be like, yeah, we watched this movie, it's not great. You know, whatever. You go see it, make up your own choice. Like we're not, I don't know. So that's what we do here, and it's fun. Like every week, even if I don't like the episode, I still have fun like talking to you about it and like looking forward to seeing what if maybe next week will be better.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's all we're doing. So we appreciate anybody who interacts with us. So yeah.
Yeah. And we cannot forget Ed Markstar for his Patreon membership once again. Got to keep that special shout out for our pal, our chief engineer.
Yeah. And somehow he went on to the nerd holes and he found like a buy me a coffee link that I probably made 3 years ago and like sent us coffee. So
yeah.
So that's pretty cool. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
So thanks for the coffee, Ed. I'll drink Will's portion.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So you've been watching the Retrek review, and so Caleb, send us out.
Well, I'm gonna have to say I'll take 2. You can end the program.
Does that mean you're going to buy it?
Yes, we've seen enough. You made a sale.
You won't be sorry.
Good. Now end the demonstration.
Done.
See you guys.